Well, it's funny how you can see the moon in the daytime sometimes.
Yeah. I wonder if there are any insects on the moon. Ha! You'd probably call them lunatics. Get it, Dad?
You'll get it in a minute.
Hey, Dad, what would you get if you crossed a porcupine with a worm?
I don't know, son.
Barbed wire.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
There goes trouble. That Saul fellow, he's going around throwing Christians into prison and putting them in stocks.
Yeah. And you could go into the prison and ask, excuse me, have you got any Christians in stock?
That's not very funny, son. Especially if you're the one in prison.
Yeah, I suppose so. But they must have broken a lot of laws, Dad.
Well, that's just it, son. They haven't done anything to deserve imprisonment or punishment.
On the road to Damascus today, it was reported that a Mr. Saul of Tarsus was blinded by a huge shining light from the sky. Now, we have in the studio today a soldier who was on the scene. Tell me, sir, what exactly happened?
Maybe this was someone from Mars. This great light shone down and someone spoke to Saul. We couldn't see who it was, and then we had to lead him off into town.
Yes, well, thank you very much. Thank you. It seems that, we've got a message from Carrier Pigeon from Damascus. Thank you, Pidge. Yes, it seems a Mr. Ananias has helped Saul's sight. Yes, and he's turned over a new leaf, Mr. Saul. This is quite a surprise, folks. Saul has decided to quit his job throwing Christians into jail. Yes, what? I don't believe this. He's joined the Christians and become one of them.
Unbelievable, you know. First that Saul throws Christians in prison.
Yeah, and then he becomes a Christian.
Yeah, and now they've tossed him in prison.
Yeah, and he's changed his name, and the Christians now call him Paul instead of Saul.
Yeah, poor fellow. Heard he and Silas got thrown into prison. Didn't even deserve it.
Oh, how do you feel, Paul?
I've got so many stripes on my back, I feel like a zebra.
Oh, you're not kidding. Well, what do you think will happen to us, Paul?
Well, these Romans have broken their own law. And they've beaten and imprisoned us, and even though we're Roman citizens, we'll demand our release under Roman law.
Well, I don't know. That jailer looked pretty tough fella. He's a retired army man by the look of it.
Yes, well, this may have been a bad day in one sense, and getting beaten and all that, but in another way, it's great.
Well, you mean that fortune teller?
Yeah, and Lydia too. And a whole family coming to know the Lord and being baptized in the river.
Yeah.
Hey, that was really something, wasn't it?
Oh, sure it was.
It was a great thing to see God opening your heart.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know that song goes like this, the Lord is my shepherd. Oh, that's it. Walk with him always. He leads by still waters. I'll walk with him always. Always, yeah, always. I'll walk with him.
Hey, what's happening? Hey, I think it's an earthquake.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, Paul, the stocks are falling off my legs.
Hey, yeah, me too. What's all that ruckus outside?
Oh, hey, it's the jailer. Oh, no. The doors are open and they've escaped. Oh, they'll execute us for this. I'll have to kill myself with my sword. Did you hear that?
Hey, jailer, don't harm yourself.
No.
We're all here.
Soldiers, bring lights quickly.
Oh, no, the light. The light. It's okay. We're all here, jailer. We're all here.
Sirs, I know you're men of God, but what must I do to be saved?
We bring you a very important news break. An earthquake last night rocked Philippi. Widespread damage is reported from all over the place. And here in the local prison, which was badly damaged last night, I'm going to interview the man in charge of the prison. And tell me, sir, what exactly happened last night?
Well, I don't really believe it myself yet, but, well, everything was going fine until this massive earthquake shook the whole place. It was coming down around our ears. Well, my first thoughts were for my prisoners.
Yes.
You know what happens if they escape.
And was there a mass breakout, sir?
Well, that's the amazing thing. We were sure they'd do, you know, they'd take advantage of the situation. And so I checked on them, but they were all there.
And tell me, we have a report that a Mr. Paul of Tarsus and a Mr. Silas, Roman citizens, were wrongly whipped and jailed and were in this prison last night. Is that true, sir?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
And what's happened to them now?
Well, I'm happy to say that embarrassed officials are releasing them today.
Did you know that some people in Australia, they eat witchetty grubs?
They eat which grubs?
Witchetty grubs.
Witchetty.
Yeah, big white grubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know, Tony,
What?
that some people in New Zealand eat hoo-hoo grubs?
Oh,
Oh,
who?
hoo-hoo.
Yeah, oh, who?
Yeah.
Oh. You gotta
Hey.
get that stutter fixed.
Yeah, I will, I'll try. Hey, that reminds me of a story about a praying mantis.
Oh, they're very religious, aren't they?
No,
Oh.
they're an insect.
Why do they call them praying mantis?
Well, they do look like they're praying.
Oh,
See, I've got a picture of one here.
uh-huh.
Yeah. And this praying mantis had a mother, like most praying mantises do. And his mother warned him to keep away from spiders. Do you know why, Tony?
No.
No. Because spiders are always on the lookout for praying mantises.
Oh, dear.
They like to eat them for dinner.
Oh, yuck. I wouldn't need a praying mantis. Ugh.
So, Mum says, don't go near the spiders. Keep away from them. And she also said, keep away from spiders' webs. Don't touch. They're very sticky and
They
you
sure
might
are.
get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know what?
What?
Do you know what about this praying mantis? He didn't believe his mother.
He didn't believe his mum.
He didn't.
Huh,
That's really bad, eh?
I reckon.
And he decided he'd go out for a walk. And he walked in the garden. And what do you think he might have seen in the garden?
This humongous spider, and it came up to him, and... No?
No.
Oh, what did he see?
He saw nice flowers.
Yeah?
And he saw plants.
Yeah?
And trees. And grass.
Uh-huh.
And he saw some little things on some plants. He saw a wee ladybird. But then he spotted this beautiful spider's web.
Wow.
And he thought to himself, this can't really be what Mum was talking about. It's far too beautiful to be dangerous to me. You remember he didn't believe his mother?
Yeah, I remembered.
So he thought, Mum must be wrong. It can't harm me. I'll just go and have a wee touch. It looks so pretty.
So did he touch it?
He did.
Oh,
And what do you think happened?
big trouble.
Big trouble. He touched it and he got stuck.
Oh, no.
And you know what happened?
Oh,
He became really, really worried and he thought, oh no, Mum was right after all. How am I going to get out of the spider's web?
and did he get out?
Well, he fought and he fought and he fought,
Yeah.
but he couldn't. And all he did was get himself more tangled in the
Oh,
sticky web. And the next thing, along came the spider.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And you know what the spider was saying?
No.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. I've got praying mantis in my tummy.
Oh, no.
So
he
you know
should
what
have learned
happened?
his lesson, shouldn't he?
He should have. And he didn't listen. He didn't believe his mother. And you know, he ended up being on that spider's plate for dinner.
Yuck.
And that's just like some people, Tiny.
What do they do?
Well, they hear God's word and they
Yeah.
hear about God and all the things that he's done for them, but they never believe it. And they just stay caught up in their sin and they can't get away.
Oh, Tommy, grandson, have you heard the story about the man who had great worries and his colour of hair turned grey?
Huh? Just like your grey hair, grandfather. Hey, grandfather, have you had many great worries?
Only one, grandson, only one, and one day he will grow up.
Yeah, oh well, on with the story.
So, in the village also lived two widows, one younger and one older.
Yeah?
And the man decided he would take both of them out to see which one would make better
Wow.
wife.
He took both out at once.
No. All Chinese proverb says, to take one girl out, little trouble. To take two out, double trouble.
Okay, Granddad. On with the story.
So, when he took the younger one out, she would pull out his grey hair because she wanted younger-looking man.
Ouch! Did that hurt?
Probably. So, when he took the older one out, she would pull out black hair because she wanted someone looking older than she
no.
was.
Double ouch!
In the end, the poor man had no hair,
Oh,
not even one.
oh no.
And the moral of the story is...
Don't go out with two girls. It's a hair-raising experience.
No, moral of story is, it is impossible to please two people at one time.
Oh.
Old book says you cannot please two masters.
I'm sad,
Why are you sad, old mate?
'cause the kids are picking on me at school.
The kids are picking on you at school? Well, I can imagine that.
It makes us little kids sad.
Yes, I know. Sometimes children pick on other people because they're different and they look different, or they might come from a different country. And children at school, unfortunately, pick on Christian children as well, because they mightn't tell dirty jokes or they mightn't swear. And they pick on the kids and
Call them goody-goodies.
yes, they call them all sorts of names. But if children get picked on like that, sometimes they don't stand up for God at school, and that's very, very sad. I'd hate to think what would have happened if Paul and Silas hadn't stood up for their faith in God. Let me show you something. See this?
That's a bit of rope.
Yes, that's a bit of rope. But if I do this,
How did you do that? Hey, how did you do that?
no, don't worry about how I did it.
Hey, what did you do?
Well, I'm just making it stand up all by itself.
I can see that on an old hill.
And don't worry about how. You know, when we ask God to come into our life, and if a person becomes a Christian, they can stand up for God all by themselves with God's help. And only if he lives inside us, and if we ask him every single day, God, please help me to stand up for you in the classroom, please help me to stand up for you when the bullies are picking on me out in the playground. And he will help us. Sometimes we might feel like that.
Oops, you nearly hit me in the eye.
I'm sorry. And sometimes we might feel like that. But nevertheless, if we ask God for his help, he can help us stand up for him.
I still want to know how to do that.
Don't worry about that right now. Now, Paul and Silas, they were whipped, they were put in stocks, they were put right in the middle of the prison, and they weren't very fairly treated at all.
I know.
And they were singing and they were praising God and all sorts of things. And if they hadn't have been doing that, maybe the jailer would never have asked them that special question.
What did he ask?
Well, he asked, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" In other words, how can I become a Christian?
What did they say?
Well, they said, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved."
Oh, you know, people learn a lot by standing up for their faith in God. And I've always wondered about these two, what they stand up for. But you know, I guess every time you stand up for your faith and show your faith in God, you never know who's watching.